Okay, so now I'm going to introduce you to the New Soul Healing Module Pathways Guide. So this is the Pathways Guide that contains the new updated protocol and the 20 healing pathways. I'm going to talk you through it because there's been some updates on it and some changes to make it much more user-friendly, so that user-friendly and less confusing. Okay, because there were some confusing bits in the last module, and that was just ended up that way because again I was writing it and I was trying to write it in a way to be able to add new modules to it. Well, now I've got my head around it, and we've just got a very much easier protocol because you should be used to asking questions and getting used to like being a detective of somebody's energy field. Okay, so let's have a look at it. So get your module opened up. So you'll have, there's your index. Actually, you've got your index on page 4 right there, and that's got all the healing pathways and the protocol in it. Now let's just go through each step in the new protocol on page 5. We've got the interview, which is, you know, asking the client what their conditions are and how to rate everything out of 10. It's also finding out their NLP, their learning style, whether they see, they're more visual, whether they learn through kinesthetically, which is feeling, whether they're auditory, hearing, or reading, which is they like to read. So when you can relate to somebody in the way that they learn, then you can relay back information to them. Like for instance, if someone says they're more visual, you say, imagine seeing that, as opposed to imagine feeling that if they're more kinesthetic. But I covered that in the emotions module on NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. Now, opening the case, we have some new words in opening the case. I'm just going to touch on a few words because I'm going to go through the full protocol later for you. There is, I've changed, there's activation of the Sephirotic. That word is slightly different from the last manual. Sephirotic is tree of life. The Sephoric that I had in the last module isn't used as much. It's not a word. There's different pronunciations and different spellings. So, but anyway, so what I'm just saying is this is now the more accurate terminology for tree of life energy, which is this Sephirotic, activation of the Sephirotic, and spontaneous healing forces. We touched on that in Spirit module, how the body contains spontaneous healing forces. They're stored in the body, so we're activating those in the body. Then there's an activation of the pure organic energy sources. There are many energy sources and they're not organic, they're false, and they have been tainted with. So what we ask is for the pure organic sources. All right, we want to make sure that we're accessing the right energy. And then it also says energy portholes. So this is accessing the organic, pure energy portals. There is energy portals available to us. There are enlightened beings here on the planet that are offering us energy. So we are accessing the good ones, the great energy portals for us to heal. Just as that there are energy portals for negativity to come through, we want to access the positive energy portals. Okay, so that is in opening the case. There are the slight changes in opening the case. So then if you go across to archetypes, they're all the same. These archetypes do change depending on the intention. So you don't think that you'll always get the same archetype. It will depend on the intention. And we've been many things in many lifetimes, because we're not just one thing. Just because, you know, you might check it again and it might come up a different archetype, that's fine. Just realize that, you know, there's aspects of us, and it just shows that, you know, another aspect. We've got the negative life patterns. They're the same. They're the patterns that you repeat over and over again. For instance, you've got judgment's a common one. When that one comes up, that just shows you that you are judgmental in your head. And if you're judgmental in your head, you attract people to judge you or judgmental situations. It just shows you how it sits in your energy field. The emotions are the same. That hasn't changed. That's the emotion that runs your patterns. I'm going to run through this to show you more clearly. I'm just going to go through all the new things. Then we've got belief systems, the things that you believe to be true in a negative way. So whatever word comes up in your belief systems, for instance, you might have family. That means you have a negative belief around family. Might mean families have to suffer, or families are dysfunctional, families beat each other up, whatever. It just means it's negative. And now the change is the ID profile age is now kept at stage 1. Because whatever age that will be, and that will be childhood, and I've got here childhood, because your programming is not going to be in adulthood. You're not going to be taught to have low self-worth in adulthood. It will stem from childhood. That is how you are programmed, and that's why schools have this powerful influence on us, and they aren't conducive to raising children to have great self-worth, to feel connected to the planet. It's quite the opposite, and it's riddled with bullying and all sorts of things, and they're not, so what I'm saying is childhood is where we're programmed, and that's why if you've got a child, that's why you be mindful of the things you say to them, because that programs them. And you'll start seeing what was programmed into you, and then we've just deprogram it. Yeah, easier said than done. Yeah, I know that. So now we've got, here we go. You've now, in stage 2, you've got soul aspect scan list. So these are words that is added to an added scan list. So you'll just be choosing a word from 1 to 69, and then it just gets written down as part of a jigsaw puzzle, right? So that's at 2.1. So there's words there. They're fairly self-explanatory, all those words. Then you go over to detail scan list. So here is your detail scan list. Again, just another piece of the jigsaw, another word. 2.3, Aura Chakra Matrix, again, another piece of the jigsaw. We're pulling out of the auric field a word where it'll identify a block in one of the levels of the light bodies. Again, the same as last time. And the chakra is the same as well. Choosing one word from one of the chakras. We've got 16 chakras mentioned there, where there's more chakras than the normal 7. So now we go over to stage 3, which is analyze. So analyze is finding another ID age. Now that's a second age. That just shows you where something else stressful has occurred, and it could be childhood at the same age in childhood, or be another different age. That's the same. Then we've got when scan list. So these when, who and where and what can be used if you end up going to a past life and you don't know what happened, or you go to childhood and they don't know, the person doesn't remember what happened in childhood. You can use the optional scan list. You don't have to use it. Now, when scan list would be usually if someone goes to past life, you go, oh, it's in past life, you could use that scan list. Whereas if you go to an age where they're 4 and they don't remember, you don't need to go to when, because you know it was age 4, you just go to the next. You've got a who scan list, okay? So who was involved, that can be used. Again, it's optional. Where scan list is where did this happen? And then the what. So they're pretty much the same as before. Now you can go to stage 4, which is reconstruct, which is why. Now I've added to that, why did something happen? When I get stuck and I'm trying to figure something out in my head, I'll just open the book and go straight to this scan list and go, why? What is this? Because here is a list of options of, was it just, you know, like, is this karma? There is the word on karma number 2. Is it because they're fearing stuff? Is it now I've got 15, like false white light? Are they heading on the false white light? They think they're doing everything right, but it's a false white light. Then, you know, why is it part year 23 is ascension? It's just taking them to the ascension process. They've got 21 false karma. Is this false karma is when it's the same as having bad karma on you, but it's been put on you, but it's false. It's like you're paying off for something bad you did, but it's false. It's a bit like, say, religion. Religion will say, have all these rules, and if you don't go and do these things, and you don't obey the Sabbath, all these sort of regulations, then that's bad karma. And then, so if you don't go to, if you, like, for instance, I was once a Mormon, and they say that then, you know, now that I'm, you know, kind of excommunicated, or I'm an ex-Mormon, I should be going to hell, really. And so that's kind of a negative energy on me. I could be paying for that in this life, because that whole religion is now putting that energy on me, and I could be paying for it. Their energy of their judgments on me, and the fact that I did agree to follow what they said, can end up as false karma. But it comes about in many ways. You can be paying for things that isn't your karma. So yeah, I love taking that one off. Like, you shouldn't be paying for that. Mind control. So this why scan list I love, just to pull out if I'm kind of a little bit stuck and I want to go back to a scan list. Why did this all happen? It's just trying to make sense of everything. It gets you thinking. It makes you the detective. It's like, well, you know, okay, so here the person has chronic pain, and they're having a lot of bad luck. Okay, so then you look at, oh, well, they were in a, you know, religious cult, or they had parents that, you know, conditioned them to be so forth, and they've been sitting with curses or whatever. It's about you finding out, making sense of how come they end up with their condition, how come, you know, they can't move forward in their life. That's what that purpose is. That's what, you know, find the story means. Making sense. Ask questions, find the answers, be the detective. Then, hey, now we just move into heal state now, which is stage 5. Stage 5 will be going to, you just test, do I go to which module? You test for one of the 6 modules. So if it ends up, if it ends up soul, you go to the soul module. If it ends up for energy, you go back to your other protocol, which is this one, your old protocol, trustee, and you will go to that healing pathway there. Again, I'll demonstrate how this works. Then you got a DNA healing, and then closing the case. So closing the case, we've got some new wording in here as well, and I'll run through some of this new wording. So we've got, after it says, I request the closure and disabling of harmful portals, gateways, channels, stargates. So we're looking at all the ways energy is transferred, and NAA firewalls, so that's negative alien agenda firewalls. Just as you have a firewall on your computer to block outside, you know, programs and viruses, they can instill firewalls in you to stop you from interfering with their artificial intelligence that they've put in you, to interfere with their mind control program. So they've actually put firewalls in you. So we're going to get rid of everything. This is just crazy. And so there's some few new words, interfering or siphoning the client's name, soul and energy life force. So that first little paragraph there has got some changes. The next one underneath that paragraph, I confirm the etheric, astral, mental and causal bodies are cleansed and strengthened. They're all sephirotic, so that's a bit different than sophoric from the last one, or all activated, and connected to the organic pure white light source. So I'm just being more specific now. I'm making sure that we are connecting to organic light source. Then next sentence, I ask the guardians and angels. So now we're referring to guardians. The guardians are here on the planet to assist with this ascension process. And for blessings to pour upon the client for all the things he or she requires to obtain soul freedom and sovereignty. So sovereignty is a big one. Sovereignty is I am my own, I have my own power, I am, I function on my own, I'm empowered. And that's big. People want to be sovereign, like their own identity, their own purpose, their own direction. For humanity's purposes, because once we're connected, once we are living from our true selves, we then are connected to everyone else, and therefore what we do to someone else, we do to ourselves, and therefore it will be for humanity purposes. Sovereignty will be for that. Next sentence, I ask that they guide and protect him or her and lead her on a path of empowerment to assist with the evolution of his or her soul and humanity. Then we're finishing off here. I ask that healing may continue throughout this time, that he or she may know that she is of divine worth, divine infinite worth, and holds the power and choice, reminding people they have choice for his or her transformation. I confirm these requests have taken place and this healing is complete. So that is now the new updated protocol. It's just easy, it flows more easily. You open the case, you profile, you get some information. You get another age, find out a bit more information about another stress or the same stress for that matter. Choose a healing pathway, close the case. Easy. And at any time you don't get an energy shift, you will go to the index. You'll ask which module is it in. You test from 1 to 6 and see which one it is. So 1 is principles, 2 energy, 3 physics, 4 emotions, 5 spirit, and 6 soul. So choose which one. Then you just count for 1 to 20 to see which one to which protocol that will you'll need to use. I will go through all of that when we have our model coming in, our volunteer for me to demonstrate the healing pathways for you. Okay.